frivolous medium, so at first I thought maybe it was a misunderstanding or something. I wasn't 100% certain that that was actually what was going on. About an hour or two later, I ran into him in person, and he confirmed to me that he did, in fact, mean that he was engaged to be married, rather than like in a firefight in a video game. And so I immediately congratulated him, and in the next second, I started composing the speech in my head, because I kind of had a pretty okay idea that he might ask me to be his best man. Because the things that I can tell you about these two people are almost endless. I'm going to try and compress it as much as I can, but everybody's not falling asleep by the time we get to the end of it. I met Chris in 10th grade English class. I was having a ridiculous argument with some ridiculous people, and he decided that he had to insert himself into that argument, and I could explain what it was about, but most of you would be lost. So instead, I'll just say that it was, we disagreed over the pronunciation of a certain species of large, flightless, bipedal bird that only exists in a series of Japanese video games. So our friendship began with a ridiculous argument that meant nothing, and many of our interactions to this day have not progressed a whole lot further than that. But we've gone on to be great friends. Kera, I've actually known slightly longer than Chris on a technicality. But for the longest time, she was just that girl who sat near me in homeroom. And then she was that girl who was in my accounting class. And then after that, she was that girl who followed Smoker around a lot. But I still didn't really know her that well. The story of how we become really good friends is really long, but I'm going to cut it down to one specific story. And it was that in accounting 3, almost everyone else has stopped taking accounting 3. We were like 2 of 7 people left in that class. But through all the years that I had known her, we probably said maybe 5 words to each other each. Because we were both very introverted, even more than we are today. But then at the very end of our senior year, our teacher was going to take the class out to lunch as a thank you for only eating most of the Swedish fish that we were supposed to sell to the student body instead of all of them. But Kera and I did not have driver's licenses or cars, which meant that the 2 of us were going to have to be driven there by our teacher, Mrs. Sherry. And so now I was staring down the prospect of a 45-minute car ride with this girl that I'd never spoken to, and in fact, almost actively avoided for the longest time. And so that was a little scary. And so the ride there was fine, but then the ride back, it came after that both she and I had decided that we wanted to learn Japanese after we finished high school. And just sitting there in that car, everything kind of snapped into focus. I remembered the Gundam Wing chibi action figures that I had seen on her purse. I remember the fact that Chris had said that he had lent her his copy of Final Fantasy VII and that she really enjoyed it. And that was Chris and my favorite video game for the longest time. And all of a sudden I had this realization like, crap, I really should have gotten to know this girl. But it's like 48 hours until I graduate. So, I mean, I guess we chalk that one up to a lesson learned, and I'm sure I will never see her again. So let's do a year after that, and I'm in my basement, and Chris is in my basement.
That's
also,
in case
hanging out, and Kera shows up at my house.
She
She was there to see Chris, and Chris wasn't really very happy about that. And so I'm in my basement hanging out with my best friend. This girl I don't know shows up at my house, and they start having an argument. And I'm sitting in my computer chair, being the 30th third wheel that ever 30. But after that, we got to know each other pretty well. Just a bizarre way to go about it. But anyway, that night started what our circle of friends kind of do as the Chris and Kera thing, which went on for a really long time, and I had ringside seats for the whole thing. And I also think that I might have had a little bit of a hand in it, because, as I said before, Chris and I are really good friends. We get along very well. We have very much the same mentality and sense of humor, to the point that when our senses of humor are working in concert, our friends should really be commended for putting up with just one of us, let alone both, because We end up with things like a straw paper incident.
Oh my god. I can't believe you're mentioning that.
Or
Details.
wait, come on. Or sitting in the parking lot of Denny's at 3 in the morning, and both of us are laughing so hard at absolutely nothing. So hard and so long that neither one of us could like breathe or talk or certainly drive a car, which led our backseat passenger to such consternation that she didn't speak to us for hours.